Glow like two fires, movement so graceful. Wildcat in the jungle with dangerous claws. Movement she anticipates, a sight is set on her prey. Like stars in the darkest night, crystallized, fascinate. If you wanna stay alive, if you don't wanna be her prey, don't stand in her way. Run, run, run away. Crystallize, 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 watching her prey. Crystallize, 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 fascinate.
She anticipates no chance if you become prey. Two stars in the darkest night, her crystallized fascinate. Her movements she feels, your heartbeat and animal fear. Her beauty is unreal, just beat feet out of here.
If you wanna stay alive, if you don't wanna be her prey, don't stand in her way. Run, run, run away. Crystallize, 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 watching her prey. Crystallize, 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 fascinate.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of the Due Process podcast. We'll be going over some of the Due Process League, as well as general game updates and patches, as well as future things that people would like to see. Today I have two guests both from Rats, we have Sick Gamer and Juice. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hey gamer, how's it
Hey,
going?
hey,
You missed an
Gamer.
opportunity to call your podcast the Do Podcast and not Do Process Podcast.
I mean,
Yeah.
hey, there's feedback, community feedback. We'll get onto it.
Or Do Time, that can work too.
Do time. That works.
Due time.
That does work. I like the idea of that. So we're going to quickly discuss the patches that happened on Friday and obviously yesterday. Some quite big changes in there. So, what do you think of the change to the party system and the UI that happened yesterday?
I read it at first and I was like, that looks stupid. That didn't need to happen. And then I played it last night and I was like, okay, it's actually kind of nice. Because
Yeah.
it's hilarious how much they're really trying to push people towards ranked. Because what happens now is if you unqueue for ranked and you're just doing casual and you got a squad and you press Q, it'll go, hey, why don't you queue for ranked as well? And a little thing will pop up. The problem is that prompt is behind it saying queuing or something like that, so it's very difficult to read. And also when you win games now or lose games at the end, where before everyone would shoot each other at the end, you just stop, and it gives you 2 prompts that you can do, which is leave to lobby with squad or queue for ranked. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, man, just I don't think anyone wants to play ranked.
I think people want to play ranked. I think there's very little incentive at the moment, other than obviously leaderboards, right? And they're dominated by a lot of the DPL players and
It's
rivals.
always up there.
Exactly, and you kind of want people to play ranked. You kind of want people to get into the competitive side of due process. I think a good way of doing it is introducing some form of reward for playing ranked other than your name on the leaderboards. So with the cosmetics still in the pipeline for coming out, I was thinking, why don't we do like seasonal cosmetics or something, depending on either how many games you've won over the said season or, whether it's based on your finishing rank for the season. What do you guys think of that?
If we do that, it should probably be based on like games played, not games won.
Yeah, so kind of like Overwatch does it.
Yeah, because the biggest issue with ranked right now is that if casual players want to hop into ranked, which they did when DP was released and it got on the front page of the Steam store. A lot of people hopped into ranked, but they got immediately stomped by 5 stacks. So there became a stigma around ranked for the people who still played, and they told all the new players, don't hop into ranked. It's toxic as shit. You're always going to get stopped by 5 stacks. So if it's just like a participation trophy kind of thing, I think it would work out a lot better.
Okay, I can see that. What about if they were to like limit the party size? Would that bring more people into ranked, or would it push people away still?
I think that's going too far.
That would push more people away.
Yeah, because then this whole reason ranked was super filled before with or people get pub stomped or whatever basically is because ranked or no one had been playing ranked for a long time. So then ranked came and there was a bunch, or then early access came and some people came in. They were like, hey, let's play ranked with these people. And there was a problem that I remember. I think our murder, or I think maybe Smith talking about a lot in the general was like, hey, you guys shouldn't 5 stack because you're gonna pub stomp people, and people don't like being pub stomped. And I was like, yeah, but I want to play the game, which is that kind of thing. Because at the current point, ranked could be totally full, and by that I mean if everyone played it I think it'd be fine, because I think the base skill level of majority of the players, because I wouldn't say majority of the players are DPL, it's pretty much similar, but they're all afraid that they'll run into DPL people.
Yeah, that I understand. It is a scary thing. When I started playing due process, on the early access stuff, when it released, I ran into LCG. I didn't know who they were at the time, and I played against them, and I was struggling, and I was like, how do I get better? So then, me and my mates, we started playing more casuals. We started learning the small little nitty bits that people don't often think and overlook. And eventually that skill grew and grew. And, now I'm a free agent in due process. So I think the game rewards a lot of time invested in, but a lot of the stuff the game still just doesn't tell you, and you'll learn from experience.
I'm surprised by like it's never until I play casuals that I learn what the game doesn't tutorialize. I was playing last night and the guy so one thing that I think is a little bit unintuitive and might want to change maybe a little bit is that you have to clack the thing 3 times because he put down a wall charge and was standing outside of it, clacked it once, it didn't blow up, and he moved closer to it, clacked it twice more to make sure it was working, and he blew himself up. And he was like, "How far I feed?" And I was like, "No, man, you have to clack it 3 times." And it's like the game doesn't tell you that. And
Yeah,
the problem is, people don't do the tutorial, and even the tutorial
Yeah.
doesn't show you everything. But like
yeah,
a lot of that stuff you learn in the tutorial, but it's not like I would hate to say this, but at the same time, having seen it, it needs to happen. It's like it should be you can't play anything until you do the tutorial.
yeah.
It should be first boot
Mandatory.
up in
Yeah,
tutorial.
first time you launch the game ever, mandatory tutorial, right? And you make that tutorial robust. So you tell people, you need to clack 3 times. Teach people the radius of explosions. Because I've had people, sit around a corner from a red door and accidentally kill themselves and go, how big's the radius? Well, it's half a square wide and 3 squares forward. It's the radius of the explosive. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. You do now, you know. And as well, like learning that obviously with that, you'll be able to go, okay, so if it's 3 squares from the red door pushing forward, where do I put the barb? Because I still see a lot of people put barb, right on that red door. And I do tell them, next time in hindsight, put that barb a little further back, because as soon as that door is blown open, that barbed wire is gone. You've kind of just wasted utility on that. So I think, having a more robust tutorial and making it mandatory is a good thing for the game.
Yeah, because the tutorial doesn't even tutorialize any utility. It only tutorializes NVGs and bombs. But like, it doesn't tutorialize one thing as flashbangs, because I think people are used to maybe like COD flashbangs, maybe Siege flashbangs,
Yeah.
where you just throw it in and you can kind of like, I don't know, just no one runs in on flashbangs, and I think that's a problem because
Yeah.
I've just seen so many randos throw a flashbang and then just like sit there and hold the angle. It's like, no, you're supposed to go in on flashbangs. It doesn't just make them visible; it just makes them not able to shoot you.
Speaking of flashbangs, so last week's maps update and weekly hotfix, they slightly tweaked it. So they reduced the angle of effect from 120 degrees down to 90, as well as the reduction to the flash distance by 25%. Seeing that in the game, how does that feel as a player?
I was playing it this morning, and honestly, it doesn't feel all that different. I haven't had like a ton of games, but yeah, to me, it doesn't feel super different.
Okay,
Also, I'm sorry for the background noise. My dog's walking around.
that's fine.
I agree though. I've like if they didn't put that there, I've just been thinking everything's fine.
Mm.
It's not like it's very difficult to say like that how like a flash works. And I say that because like if you get flashed and you're defending or whatever, normally, or at least how it used to be, I'm sure it's pretty much the same. Is you can't see and you move.
Pardon the background.
So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like if you can't see and move again, it doesn't. You don't
Yeah.
like think about, oh well, I didn't move as much, or like I didn't get flashed as long. And it's like, no, you just can't see and move. So it's sort of just like, yeah, it kind of makes sense that you wouldn't notice it.
That's fair enough. Do you think they need tweaking anymore?
No. I think there is ways to get around flashes, and there's tactics. I think it's a thing that we see in a lot of video games where people are like, "This is bad," and it's like, "Well, you could like like defend against it, but it's bad," and it's like, okay,
Yeah,
just some people are just like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of issues that come from people complaining about stuff is that like they don't know how to play around it.
Mhm.
Honestly, my big things for the game are, number one, get better shooting mechanics. Number
Yeah.
2, get higher tick rate servers, and number 3, get MMR for competitive,
Mm.
because that will fix like a majority of issues with the game that keep people away from it.
Oh yeah, 100% sure. I think the only thing that would stop the MMR thing is the play count. But again, like,
Yeah, it's at like 56 right now.
yeah, I feel like, you know, this time of year there's a lot of hot games coming out. You know, we've got Cyberpunk releasing.
In like 7 hours.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. And everyone's been hyping that up, so everyone's going to be on Cyberpunk. You've got Call of Duty's Season 1 coming out next week. You've got
I'm
Christmas.
sorry, but that guess of how many people are playing New Process right now, I was very close. I said 56, 55.
Not a bad player count. I mean, it's been worse.
Yeah, I mean, that's just right now. And also, it's like fucking 12 on the East Coast right now, so...
But if you think about it, like a lot of other games that people say are dead, like I could go on to Battlefield 1 or Rising Storm 2 right now, and hundreds of people will be playing those games, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, first of all, Due Process is more active at night, I would say. That's the case for players and majority of the teams as well. That's why I was saying it's like it's 12 over here, so that kind of makes sense why it's not as high as it could be.
Yeah. I think there's not a lot of EU players either. The game hasn't had the best publicity or promotion out there. But again,
the EU servers suck.
Yeah, there's always things that can be tweaked and changed along the way. But I think the game has a good basis for growing. It's just people needing to stick out those first few games and start to understand the mechanics a little better. Stellaric did have a question. He goes, how will higher tick rate change things for you in terms of server?
Okay, so with a lot of games like CS, you have the high tick rates, so that a lot of the time when I'm playing, especially when, you know, my ping isn't so great, I just lose shots. Like I'll shoot someone in the head with a mop. It plays the sound. I see them flash. They just don't drop. And
Yeah.
either a ping issue or a tick rate issue. Either way, it needs to be fixed.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I think you brought up a great point there with CS tick rate, right? So you've got your standard, I think it's 60 tick servers for your normal matchmaking, and then you've got your 120 tick servers for your competitive. And, you know, based on the nades and the smokes and things like that, trajectories are altered. So you have, you know, 120 tick nade spots, and then you'd have 60 tick nade spots. I think if Due Process went down a line like that, you could see like much more in-depth strategies come out with certain bits like of utility. But yeah, I think overall responsiveness of the servers through the higher tick rates is kind of needed. There's times when I've shot people and it doesn't look like it's registered, but it has. It's just not giving me any feedback. So it might be a game thing, but yeah, there is some issues there. But in the most recent update, they've done some more optimizations to bandwidth, and obviously that came out yesterday, so it'll take a little bit of time to see how that changes things. But overall, I feel like FPS is getting better as well. I don't know about you guys.
I think it's getting better, yeah. I haven't had too much of a problem with it. I think like every update they've really done to mess with it, they've made it better.
Yeah, I see a lot of talk in the feedback about getting more FPS over the last few patches. Some people even going up by 10 FPS, which is quite good. But obviously, like, you know,
I don't know, just saying like up by 10 FPS is just really funny.
By 10 FPS. I mean, it's average, isn't it? You know, it's not always going to be the same. But I think, you know, optimization is slowly getting there. As well as all the other stuff that they have plans. But I think we'll transition over to the Due Process League side of things, because this is where things get really exciting. As you all know, I am a free agent, but Sick Gamer and Juicem both play for Rats, who are rivals, but we like to keep up to date with the top 8 teams. And speaking of the top 8 teams, Flogels, who were 8th seed, drawing their first match against Mesa, or previously known as Banditos, to then lose the second map, 7-4. How do you guys feel about those guys?
About Flogels or Mazer?
Flogels. Flogels to begin with. We'll discuss Mesa in a minute. But Flogels.
I haven't had too much interaction with Flogels. The only thing I've ever really heard is from Tibber saying that they don't talk. But from things I've heard here and there, that might not be true, and that might have been about the original Flogels and not the EU one that became the actual Flogels.
Yeah, because they did have a North American roster beforehand, didn't they?
Yeah, then they went to go play COD.
I think they're now on Valorant. God knows what's going on. Yeah. But no, I think Flogels surprised everyone. It might have just been a lucky day for them. They might have just got lucky with the layers. But I think, when we look at the qualifiers, they came up against Mesa or Banditos, and they got slapped 7-0. So coming back and taking a few more rounds, they've worked up that way.
I think being 8th seed and tying at least first round with the first seed is pretty fucking good.
Yeah. It's not the easiest feats to do, especially if you go in with it and you're like, well, these guys are top seed. We don't stand much of a chance. And then you draw, you take rounds and you draw the first match.
Yeah, I think Flogels is one of those teams where it's one of 4 or 5 teams where almost everyone who plays is consistently good. And I say almost everyone because I've played with most of them, but not all of them for a bit.
Yeah.
Like BTG, Hypa, SPG, Flogels, and Mazer. And that's basically most of the teams that just have people who are consistently very good. The whole team, nobody's slacking. Everybody can carry. Everybody can clutch.
Yeah. Do you think that those factors are what makes those teams, or do they meddle together as well to make basically a super team of fraggers?
Well, fragging is not the only concern in this game. There's also strats and stuff. You can have a team that's great at fragging, that's all aim and no brain. But you got to have the brain there somewhere. Otherwise, they're going to lose to a team that's not as technically competent, but has a better strategy.
Yeah. But BTG currently sitting on first with 3 points. Kind of expected, I think, when they played MMT. First map was a complete wipe. I think it was 7-1, 7-2, something like that. I remember off the top of my head. And then the second game, I think, kind of went back and forth a little bit, but BTG just showed pure dominance there. Do you think BTG are going to come out on top this season?
I think it's too early to call it, honestly.
Okay.
A lot of the teams there are pretty good and can compete with BTG.
Any that stand out particularly? Other than obviously Mesa.
Yeah. I think if you put, BTG and Mazer in the ring, they're probably going to have close matches every time.
Yeah.
But Hypa and SPG are also in the contenders for that, as well as Flogels. Flogels is still there.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to see Flogels versus BTG and how that goes, especially if both teams are flying in full force. The games are going to be really intense, but they're going to be enjoyable to watch, at least from a spectator standpoint there. But I want to talk briefly about utilities. So there's both Slaughterhouse and Fierce wasted quite a bit of utility, 28 overall. Do you think it was just bad plays from both teams there? Obviously, Fierce the more experienced roster. Do you think that they could have done that a bit better, or is it just how they played it?
I think a few of it might just be road flares probably throwing for fun. I'm looking at both of them, and both of them have like their highest one is
Yeah.
road flares. I think it's normal. But then the next one obviously is flashes. Flashes, I think that's very easy to waste.
Yeah.
We have to think about what they count as a waste. I'm assuming it's probably like throwing a flash into a room and not moving in on it. And I feel like it's a problem that like
Probably,
a lot
yeah.
of people have. I still don't know where that comes from, and that bothers the hell out of me. Is when people throw a flash and it's like, okay, we've thrown all our flashes into a room. No one has gone in. Does anyone have a flash? Nope. Okay, well we're all gonna die now. So
It does seem a bit weird when you throw a flash, you don't push in.
because you're giving yourself advantage, and it's like literally that is the currency for advantage is flash, and you've just thrown. It's like you have a gold coin and you just throw it out the window. Like, yep, who needs it? I don't want
I
it.
don't need
I'll
that
just
money,
shoot people.
boys.
Yeah,
MMT wasting 21 though. Do you reckon they suffered the most from doing that?
probably. I haven't seen their games, but if they're wasting Tron on flashes, probably. Either that or they threw it, went in, and still got fucked. Because obviously it really
Yeah.
depends where you're throwing your flashes. Some rooms
Oh,
really
yeah.
need two for one for close, one for long.
Or if they're, you got two nasty corners that you need to clear, and they're both obstructed by cover, and you just need to get those two flashes around those corners to clear it.
That's something I think we're actually pretty good at identifying is the rat corners. And
Kill
we'll either sit in
surprise.
there or just like we're like, okay, someone grab a shotgun, immediately point there and kill them. And like,
Yeah. But I mean, also looking at gun statistics, I think a lot of defenders, a lot of people are still preferring the KR. With 101 being taken over the overall for the first sort of weekend of play days, with 96 kills per gun. Just some bad statistics if you think about it. Yeah, you're talking about five times you pick it up and you don't get a kill. That's not bad.
My thing with that is I don't know if it really means because kills per gun, it could be on defender's side, but at the same time thinking, oh wait, no, it is like on defender's side. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was thinking what it might have been is like a lot of times if we're playing attackers and we kill people with a KR and they have a KR, we pick it up and take it next round because KR is super fun.
Oh yeah, KRs are great.
I mean, KR is a good gun, and it's not really a power weapon, but it's definitely one of those weapons where it's like, oh, we lost the KR. That's a little
Yeah,
risky.
it's because it does a lot of damage, but it's one of those that you kind of need to be skilled with. The same with Legros. Legros
or skill 4.
Yeah, 2-tap headshot, but then going for body shots, you will lose to pretty much anything. Black Tar's just got a higher fire rate. Speaking of it, picked 58 times, kills per gun 54.
That's
I think
pretty good.
Looking at that statistic alone says that the gun is really good, right? But because it's limited, you've got to be smart with where you take it. And I'd like to see if the guys doing the stats could actually like maybe put a stat in to see what maps the weapons were taken on most. Because I assume Black Tar's going to be taken mostly on maybe Kill House and Factory. C-Store is very sort of close quarters, so you'll be seeing a lot of AP and shotguns. But I think overall, like, weapon balance is fairly there, isn't it?
I mean, APs can really go anywhere. AP is like the most versatile gun ever because it can be like breathing down someone's throat with the fucking gun to them, or like they're like 3 football fields away and you're like, I can take them out.
Yeah.
Do you think
it has, I guess I would say, the lowest skill floor of any gun. However, it's also the lowest skill ceiling. All you have to do is point and shoot.
Yeah.
And if you point and shoot 90% of the time, you're going to win against Allegros, like
Yeah.
maybe 50% of the time against a KR. And it's all a percentage game with the AP. You just point and shoot and just let the percentages do their work.
Yeah. Do you think the gun would need some sort of tweaking, or do you think it's perfectly fine where it is? I've always said give it a little bit more recoil. Just enough
I
that
think
it
it's
makes
fine
you
where it
use
is.
it a little bit more.
I think it's fine. It's
Yeah.
just like it's really on the defender side to. I think a lot of things people don't realize they are balancing guns, or people are like, oh, this, or like as if you were both in a field shooting each other. But that should never be the case. It should always be defender, like maybe has barbed wire on a door and they're like coming through it. Like I'm thinking like a one of those double doors, like factory or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's like defenders should be putting themselves in advantage spots, and that's the whole thing. And that's why flashes exist and stuff like that, because in
Oh, yeah.
a gunfight, defenders have the advantage usually.
Yeah, their weapons deal a lot more damage. They're better just in general gunfight situations.
and they're
But
already ready holding angles.
Yeah. So everything's in the favor of defenders, and as an attacker, it's more about using the utility to push, more than just straight up gunfights.
It's literally going into the hive of trying to figure out, or pretty much, yeah, just go into the hive, trying to knock shit around, kill them.
Yeah. If there were, if say if the developers were looking at adding a new weapon into the game, what kind of weapon would you like to see, either for attacker or defender?
I want like a let's see. I'm trying to think of a serious answer and a dumb answer, because my dumb answer already exists, which is like I mean, this is more of a feature less than a weapon, but dual wielding like fucking SMGs or pistols or something like that. I love pistols.
They are fun.
And I really like they don't have it there. It's not the KR. Fucking what is it? The PK. It looks really amazing and I love it. I still love one of the
PK
people who did
yeah.
art of our anime girl Nazumi has a picture with her with it, and I love that picture for that. But I can't really think of one other than that. I just like pistols. Just make a new pistol. Just
Make a new
fun of it.
pistol.
You can deal with them.
What about
Yeah.
you, Juice?
I would say I want to see the return of the shopping cart LMG, because the idea of the defenders having like a mobile gun emplacement is a really cool idea, because it turns basically any point on the map into a choke point. So long hallways, the front of C store, and as long as you only have one, it's pretty balanced, because it's basically just the ultimate in area denial.
Yeah.
So as a defender, you can say, fuck this, we're putting one guy here, and he's going to have the big gun, and he's going to kill 5 guys who rush this way, no matter what happens. I think that would be really interesting to see and to play around.
I feel like the day they put they got to put the shield in same day.
Oh, yeah, because that's the only way.
Yeah,
I want the shield just because I fucking hate wall bangs on Kill House.
Oh, man. The only reason I hate Kill House is for that reason. But then again, I love it. Like, it's satisfying when you do get a kill through the wall.
Yeah, it's hypocritical, really, because I'm just like, fuck, I hate these goddamn wallbang spots, and then like 3 minutes later, when it's like our turn, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, wallbangs are great.
Yeah, look at this spot. Look at this spot. I got this wall to shoot through, and it's just gonna funnel. Yeah. I mean, I was never around. So as I've said, I'm an early access player, so I'm not pre-early access. So I never experienced the shopping carts and the shield.
I actually never did either.
but they do sound really, really fun. And I'd like to see some more fun things in the game. I mean, for me, like, I'd love to see a burst weapon in the game, whether it be on the attackers or defenders. I think a gun that's kind of, rewards you with skill and precision, but then is also like awkward to use, and you have to respect the gun.
Thank you for saying my serious answer for a gun, because I totally want like a FAMAS on attackers or something like that.
I think like, maybe bring the AP numbers down and add in, maybe a burst weapon, because I think that would be really cool and really fun to work with. I've always loved burst weapons in games, all the way back to like Call of Duty 4 with the M16. It's one of my favorite weapons. M16 in COD 4 was a burst. It was the M4 carbine that wasn't.
Oh boy.
But like burst weapons, like you have to respect the weapon, right? You've got to know that it's a burst weapon and you've got to hit your shots. And it rewards someone who's got skill to be able to land those headshots as well. I don't think like maybe if you hit all 3 of the rounds from the burst into the head, maybe that results in a kill, because that is really tricky to do. But I think overall, like, it would be great to have something fun in the game.
Yeah, my only issue with a burst weapon would be it would kind of upset the TTK in the game.
It would
'cause
obviously
you have
have to
it
go.
shoot 3 shots. One of those shots, if they connect, is 1/3 of your health on a headshot. That's crazy damage potential.
Oh
And
yeah,
that would just be the best gun on attacker in any situation, right? Because all you have to do is aim at the head and click.
oh yeah. I think
Didn't
it'd have to
Samsung
go.
so much of that in the P90 or something.
Oh, P90.
Yeah, they had a P90 a while back.
I mean, it would have been fun, I think. You've got a Gruber, which is obviously your MP5 looking weapon. Your NAC, which is your Uzi / Mach 11 kind of looking gun. And you get your KR, which is your AK-74. So, I mean, adding like a P90 is kind of like, you got your 4 sort of, hey, look, we got gangster weapons, don't we? You could add a Tommy gun with a drum mag, but this isn't Fortnite.
Yeah.
This isn't Fortnite.
No, get rid of every other gun except for the Gruber. Just Tommy guns. That sounds
Tommy
great.
guns.
That would be awful for anyone on my team, because I would just sit there in the hallway shooting and go, "Hey, you're in the eye. See? We're going to kill you. See?"
Say hello to my little friend.
And just fucking various like gangster quotes and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I was
that'd
already
be really
annoying my friend
fun.
last night by saying, "Oh, I guess you are my little pog champ. Come here," in various voices I know how to do,
Oh, good God.
which is super fun.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of talk in the feedback channels, especially around shotguns.
Oh no, I knew this was going there.
Are we talking about the shotgun?
We're talking about the
For
shotgun.
some reason, every time it's like once a week, there's some guy who shows up and is like, "I don't think the shotgun should work like that," and it's like, here we go again.
See, I think they're fine. I find them a little inconsistent, but then that's the nature of shotguns, right? They're spread weapons. They're not, a single projectile. They're spread. So they should have
like,
the quirks.
Everyone does them differently. Fucking COD, they're snipers. Like
KSG-12, yeah. But I think the overall like balance around shotguns is fine. Yeah, they have issues with their animations where you rack it, but then it takes a half a second again to like aim down sights or even brace. But the devs have said, we know that's an issue and we are looking to fix it. It's nice that they do look at these issues and they do sort of respond to them. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm still drawn to G-Process. It's like, the community is there to give feedback and the developers actually want that feedback to make the game better.
They want the feedback, but at the same time, it always feels like it's like, okay, cool, we'll get to that, and they put it on the pile of things they're doing, and it's never on top of it. It's like in the bottom.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll get to it eventually, guys. Don't worry.
I think maybe like a Trello board or something that the community can look at and go, okay, what are they actually working on at the moment? And then give feedback upon, what we need as a community as well as what the developers want as well in the game. Because ultimately, it is their dream, but the community is also trying to help them shape the game to be better, because we are always active, we're always giving feedback, we always see the issues and the bugs. Like right now, we can't kick players from games. We can't.
Wait, can you not? Yeah, you can.
No, Can you?
Does it not work?
Oh, we
Yeah.
tried it today. We couldn't. Passwords have gone for some people, I think, or everyone. Even if you have the setting on, so you can't do that. But obviously, like, we give feedback, and the developers are quick to fix it. The weekly updates come in quick and fast. As well as the maps. I mean, we've had some fun maps.
I was a little disappointed we didn't get it the week of Thanksgiving, but also it makes sense because goddamn Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah,
But
I mean,
they made some fun maps. I absolutely love Oops All Toxic.
yes. This is great. I love it. It's one of those maps you like look at and go, what the fuck is? It's like, actually, no, this is pretty fun. I mean, there's the odd occasion where I've spawned actually in the toxic. I had that with Lewis the other day. And Flogels was on the enemy team, and I said, Flogel, come to Doxor. He checked where I am. He didn't get there. He died before him, but it's issues.
I remember Playbug. I think I was talking about. There's that one little piece of wood you can get on that you can't. If you get off, you die. But you can sit there, and it's a nasty angle. And I was like, "Fuck that."
Oh yeah, that's nasty one. That is.
Played against some team using that.
The only issue I have,
issue
I have with that map is you can defuse the bomb. So you've got the bomb right on one half of the catwalk, and on the opposite side, you've still got the catwalk, right? But there's like a railing. You can stand literally by the railing and defuse the bomb. Because there's a middle pillar post, the office can't see a line of sight to bomb. They have to kind of get out of office to be able to kill you. So it's kind of weird. But again, I like it.
What's I like that because I feel like it should push. Like if you're anytime you're touching bomb, I want go. Like I want defenders to run and be like, all right, we gotta kill him. We gotta do it. Please.
Yeah, or at least have a way of establishing a line of sight. Even if it's a tricky line of sight to set up, I'd still like being able to keep an eye on bomb from somewhere. Stellaric does have a question. Stellaric asks, "What's the opinion on Vault and interaction in maps?" So, Vault on Kill House, for instance.
My only problem with Vault, and it's not like this isn't something that's like get rid of it. I'm just like I see this as a problem, but it just like you just got to plan for it, and it's obvious. Is there are certain times where it's like, oh, you just didn't press the button, so you just lose now because you just don't have the time.
Yeah. And I think especially with certain Vault maps, especially how they're designed. You kind of need to split up your team, right? You need some people to create your way into Vault, and you've got split the other guys up and push the button. And a lot of the times you might lose all your team trying to clear, or all your team trying to get to the button. You've got to work back. It's more hassle than it's worth, but I like the idea. I just wish there was a better way of implementing it.
I like interaction on maps. It kind of reminds me of like the old Halo maps where you could press a button and something would happen and it would randomly kill somebody. Like, you know how there's like energy coils going down conveyor belts and you can shoot those and kill people.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And I think Volt is less like something that's a big problem and more something that you just have to play around.
Yeah.
So every map that has a Volt becomes the Volt map. You always have to have a team hit the button and a team go to Volt, or have your whole team go to button then hit Volt, and just leave one guy to watch the button. But that's what makes it more interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
I think interaction is gonna make it cooler.
I like airlocks, but they are sometimes. I think the way that they're done in due process is a bit weird. And it's like your opponents know you're already coming airlock. But again, like,
cool if the outside didn't like air, like if it didn't close and the only button was inside.
Yeah. Then that defeats the whole purpose of an airlock, right? The airlock's supposed to.
Oh no, I mean like there's no button on the outside except for on the the button should only be on the inside, is what I mean. So by it doesn't close, I mean at the start there's not a button on the outside that should close. Because that just, I'm like, yeah, you get a few seconds on that, but it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, I think they're cool. I think one interaction that I've been floating around in my head for a while is say like a whole new tile set map, right? So imagine not factory, not kill house, not C store, but another map that had shutters on the inside, and they changed how the map worked, so you could direct the flow of your attackers.
So you mean like, let's see, how am I gonna describe it? So like, we're gonna use Kill House for this. Take Kill House. It's kind of like when they first like added that vault closes off areas, but have a few doors around there like that, and they don't
Yeah.
go to vault; they just are there.
Yeah, so there's alternate routes, and you kind of mid round you can, if you know your opponents are pushing, this shutter, you can shut it, and now they have to adapt to that. I think that is a good way of playing defense.
That sounds like it'd be on Dome.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. I don't know if it would be very competitive or work well, but I think it would be a nice idea to explore with map creation.
I think it'd be cool to have like I guess it would be like a control room where the bomb and the attackers kind of have to get through this like maze of defender traps and doors and shit to get there. I think that'd be very cool.
It'd be very fun.
Proposing is the Home Alone house as a
yeah. Bring Home Alone house. Christmas special in G Process. I
think there should be a house map. I'm kind of a little upset there isn't.
I know that they are working on a completely new map, I think, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's Dome.
Yeah, I don't know if a dome would be nice. I think a house, we've got a factory.
Dome is like from what I know, it's like a game show. Like it's supposed to be like
like TV station type thing.
It's like the Battle Dome is basically what it is. It's from what I remember. The story is. In Kill House, that's the Crims are training against the baby attackers, and if they win that, then they get to go to the Probation Dome, which it is no longer called that because Annapurna got a little bit upset about that.
Okay.
So
I think that would be a cool idea, though. I mean, it definitely change up how attackers will play the game, because obviously, like in certain maps, we need to get control of this place, right? So for C-Store, it's usually Freezer, right? And for Factory, it's usually Office. So this one would be Control Room. And that would mean, the attackers could turn the tide against defenders and make their journey back to bomb a lot harder. I think with that sort of idea, it's a lot of counterplay and thinking about it. But, interaction is one of those things
like if you used, I don't know, if you like wanted to sacrifice 2 door charges just to get into control room immediately.
Expensive, but probably worth it,
Yeah.
But I think interaction is one of those things that needs to be fiddled around with to make right, but also experiment with it. I think there's a lot with map design as well, is experiment with it. We've had some really fun maps this week, or over the past 2 weeks, haven't we? Breezeway in the middle of the map where the bomb is, with a window and club. Very, very defender favored, but if the attackers get control of club, it's pretty much a cakewalk. Obviously that all toxic map. You played the one with the shelvings, with the bombs on the shelving units.
Yeah.
That is such a weird map, but I like the design. I like the idea behind it. Then we've had the really long factory map. That's a weird one. Stellaric has another question on a different topic. Is there a trade-off the devs have to make in designing towards casual experience versus competitive audience? And how are they different? Or which group should they be catered to? Always a casual. Casual first.
Yeah, the thing is with this game, I feel like it's in a weird spot because I don't think it's really like it's walking the line between both really easily. Because I think if you're going towards more like competitive, obviously, I think you're probably playing like Siege or something like that. But it doesn't feel so competitive, but it doesn't feel so casual either. It's
Best
weird.
of both worlds.
Yeah, so I think from day one they have been walking that line of like who should we cater to, and they're like, why not both? And people are like, well, you can't do that. And they're like, well, we kind of are. So
It's very difficult to do it for both though.
it is because
I
both
think if you favor
something
one,
different.
I think if you favor one and then add in bits to help the other is usually a good idea. But don't take the Overwatch route of going, let's just create a completely casual game and then throw competitive into it. Because that will never work. You want a competitive, casual focus, but still keep in mind that competitive aspect as you're designing and developing the game.
It is the thing where like if you want a consistent, or I was about to say if you want a consistent player base, you want to go towards casual, but I'm thinking actually competitive is probably a more consistent player base. Because look at the players we have now and the people playing. It's like the people that are still playing are the DPL guys. The
Or the
people who
people that
aren't
want to
playing anymore are
take
the
it.
people who are just
Yeah.
kind of like.
I guess you could maybe go through a cycle of, you know, casual focus then the competitive focus, and I think that would be okay as well.
The thing is, we have to like talk about what that really means. Like theoretically, if an update came out and it was like casual competitive, what would that update really be? Because I feel like the things they've been adding can be casual. Of like, you know,
I think the most recently, like the flashes, I think have been best of both worlds. So I remember doing qualifiers for DPL. The flashes were stupidly strong.
yes, that was also when they fucked defenders so hard.
But yeah, that was the whole utility update that just really wasn't a good idea.
And the next update they fixed it, which pisses me off so much. It's like, well, we had to play qualifiers in that. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Even to where like the mollies were nerfed too hard. They admitted it was like, oh no, it was by 30%. We meant to do 15%.
I think the mollies were hit too hard. Barb was hit way too hard. You could literally still sprint through that shit. It was ridiculous. And like you'd have to double Barb just to make sure that you still got kind of use out of the utility. I mean, the amount you had was fair, but you still got a budget over 3 rounds.
They basically, yeah, because what they wanted to do was give more people barbs. I'm sorry, like more barbs so you can use them. But it also did is what they did is they split one barb into two, and it was like, okay, and then people realized that, so they put two instead of one, so it didn't do anything different.
Yeah, going back to that competitive versus casual thing, this game, like the way that it is that it's marketed at least, is very much a here's, you know, a competitive game without the aspects of competitive first person shooters that you hate, like people knowing the maps too well or people getting weird fucking angles on you all the time. And to a degree that has been mitigated. And I think, why would you appeal to a casual audience when the whole appeal of your game is to competitive players?
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, because I come from a background of Siege, so I know all about that bullshit angle kind of crap. And the game is just not fun for me anymore. Like Siege is just not fun. I don't enjoy it.
So I don't play Siege anymore.
The only time I boot it up is to work, but the bits that drove me away from the game was the fact that you had so much utility to worry about, as well as cheeky angles and things like that. And I think this game strips all that down and gives you just a pure, you know, competitive experience of 5v5 random maps every week that really sort of spice the game up. Sometimes you'll have really good maps, and others you'll have a map with a breezeway, and that's your only way into the match. You know, I think maybe competitive in terms of design is the best way forward for G Process. But I think also promotion helps with that, right? You want to give the idea that, hey, this is a competitive game, but it's not hard to learn if you put the time in.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like marketing it as an easier to approach competitive game rather than a hard to approach casual game makes it a lot better and increase the appeal a lot more. because especially with it being a PC exclusive, you don't have to worry about console casuals like you do in Siege.
Yeah.
You know, the issue with Siege is that the online community, the computer community is so hardcore, whereas all the console gamers are like, oh yeah, I played Plat, but you can still play like trash on PC and
Yeah.
never get to the level you could on console.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, like I think what would be nice is maybe we get that Trello board, so we can see what is happening. They have as top priority and what they don't have in the works, and give our feedback based on what we know is being done in the background. Because I think as competitive players that a lot of people are, we kind of know what we want, especially from the game. Like none of us agreed with the utility change. We didn't think it was a good idea, and they quickly changed that. They wanted obviously to change it slightly because we knew that it wasn't perfect, but having the developers have a good communication, good relationship with the DPL players, I think is good for their developing of a better game, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And it's not like games like Siege where people just play it to fuck around. I mean, there is a bit of that, but at this point, people don't play DPL. They don't go to it as like a friendship bonding experience. Really, they go to it because they see, oh, this is a new competitive shooter, and I like competitive shooters.
Yeah.
And I am tired of games like Siege and CS where people are always opping me from across the map and I barely even know what's happening.
I think it's really funny in this game. It definitely feels like that refugee I'm done. I don't want to play any more CS. I don't want to play any more like fucking Siege. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, here's like kind of that, but not as shitty. It's like, okay.
It works though. It works.
Oh no, I love that fact. I just thought it's really funny that DP is like the hideout from Siege and CS:GO. And
Yeah,
everyone here like still plays like CS:GO and Siege every now and then.
like I always look through the free agents chat, and I see like people with experience in CS and Siege, and it's like, yeah, it backs the idea up of it being a refuge. And obviously there's competitive experience from Siege and CS that can be brought in, and the developers can mold this into a really competitive game. Most of us, especially like the long-standing players, have found out these cool little quirks that we use. But it's great just having that developer or that company behind it, the game that is passionate about the project that they're making. But it's coming to the end, I think, of the podcast here.
Is it now? Oh yeah, it's like 12:56.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't want to keep you guys here all day. I mean, we could have a whole heap of discussions about all sorts, but I want to save some of that for other episodes. So do you guys have any closing statements, closing things you want to say?
Flashbang's not OP. You just got to be better about fucking dealing with it. That's it. Like literally, it's like just get out of the room. Or one thing that we always do is like as soon as door blows, throw down a molly, and they usually throw at least 1 or 2 flashes in, so that flash just gets wasted.
Yeah. Smart play, that one.
Yeah, it's like it's not too hard to break against it.
Juice.
Always check your corners. Don't get shot.
Don't get shot. It's
I
easier
take that
said than
personally.
Oh no,
I
it's
get shot
fine.
a lot, and I never check my corners.
It's alright. Fluffy never checks his corners either. At times,
I streamed like a while back, and every time I walked to a room, I never checked the left corner. I always check the right one, not left one, and it's always a guy sitting in the left one.
Yeah, it's always one thing that you forget is your left corners. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming on. Sorry it was so last late getting you in because people had plans. Flagels had a scrim and Fluffy was not feeling very well today, bless him. So hope he gets better soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming on. It's been great. Been nice chatting.
Yeah, it's been nice.
Definitely get maybe both of you on again at some point, either together or separate. It's great to talk
Message me
to.
whenever, and I should be, considering you're EU and usually do this around this time, I should be
Yeah.
available unless I'm asleep.
But I'll be doing this every week as long as DPL is on, and then obviously once it's over, season break, I'll go on to a new season of podcasts, I guess. But yeah, so I want to thank you for coming, guys. I want to thank chat and everyone who's dropped by. It's been nice. Next episode or next week, I will try and get some more people on. Obviously, I'll look at the scores for the DPL and try and get 2 people, whether it's from the most interesting games or from some of the more questionable games, get them on and get their thoughts on things. But yeah, so I'm going to sign off. And we'll be back same time next week.
Bye-bye.
See ya.